Okay. Obviously, they misunderstood some of the things he said when he was there and in the first letter, or especially the first letter that he wrote them. They misunderstood about the timing of the second coming. Of course, Paul didn't know when the second coming was coming anyway, because no one does, I don't think, except God himself. But anyway, if you think about the gospel, he went there and he declared to them that that Christ was the Son of God, and they crucified him, and of course they'd heard about it probably, and then a lot of them believed it, and they were converted and so forth. And then, of course, part of that belief was that he's coming back. Now that's where Raymond talked about the hope this morning. That's our hope, isn't it? That's why we're all here this morning. That's the reason we do everything religiously, is the hope that we have that he's coming back. And they got the idea, of course, that it was going to be next week or the week after next or today or tomorrow or whatever, but they got the wrong idea about it. And even some of them had quit work and so forth, and they were just waiting, of course. So Paul has to write this second letter back to explain to them that that wasn't necessarily the case. And there's some real interesting things here about what Paul is going to tell them has to take place before Christ comes back. And I guess it's our job this morning to determine whether that's happened yet or not. If that hasn't happened yet, then of course it'll be a while. But if this thing we're going to talk about this morning, if it has happened, then of course the second coming could be at any time. But he's telling these people at that time, it's not going to happen immediately because this has got to happen first. So we'll talk about exactly what this is, it's something that's going to be a little bit difficult to pinpoint, maybe a lot difficult to pinpoint. But in the first verse of the second chapter of the letter, it says, "Concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our being gathered to him, we ask you, brothers and sisters, not to become easily unsettled or alarmed by the teaching allegedly from us, whether by a prophecy or by word of mouth or by a letter, asserting that the day of the Lord has already come." Well, some of them, of course, we know that they were upset that a lot of their loved ones had died and they'd missed out, and the second coming had possibly already happened in Jerusalem, and here they were way from there, and they'd missed out on it. It's just false teaching. It says it's teaching that allegedly came from us, and of course he's saying us, Paul, Timothy, Barnabas, they certainly weren't teaching that. So he's telling them not to be upset by all this silly stuff that was being taught, things that was going around. Don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come until the rebellion occurs and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the man doomed to destruction. The King James Version of that same verse 3 says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there coming a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." So he's talking about someone specifically, and there's going to be a falling away. This person's going to be revealed, and when that happens, then the time for the second coming can happen, I guess is what he's saying. And who in the world or what in the world is he talking about? All throughout the ages, people have decided who the son of perdition was or is at the time, I guess. But in our lifetime, probably who do you think of they thought most of all, maybe? Probably Hitler. At least that's what I read. But Hitler was this person at that time because of all the things he was doing. But when we get on over here in a few more verses, I don't think Hitler would fit the religious perspective that he's talking about. But again, that day will not come until the rebellion occurs and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the man doomed to destruction. So, what do you want to say? He will oppose and will exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshiped, so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. Now what do you say? The only thing that comes close to that is the papacy or the office of the Pope. We've had a lot of popes, so it's not talking about a specific pope, obviously, because several of them have come and gone. The current one is almost dead, it sounds like, but I don't know that there's been anyone else other than the Catholic religion that has set itself up to proclaim that they're God, that they worship them as if they're God. He sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. I don't know that a pope proclaims himself to be God, does he?
You have to go way back in history.
Okay.
To find people that would purport to be that. The Roman emperors declared themselves gods.
Yeah, we've got 2,000 years to do that, right?
The pharaohs of Egypt for 2,000-3,000 years declared themselves, but it's way back there. We don't know much about them. We don't study about them, and they don't have influence today. And what does have influence today is the papacy.
Yeah. Of course, we can relate to this because we see it all around us, I guess. And I've thought a lot about this, and I'm sure everyone has too. But it's just I don't know what else it could be talking about. I don't know whom else it could be talking about. But when would that all be revealed? Of course, it'll be revealed at the second coming of Christ. How whoever this person was or whoever this group was, they will be revealed. It will be shown to everyone the error of their way, of course.
Seemed like I've heard discussion over this. Would be anybody that, not maybe a specific person, but anybody that was a false teacher that would oppose God's word and then, in other words, set himself up.
Yeah.
As
I've heard that also, but those people don't necessarily put themselves in a position of, God himself or higher than God. There's a lot of false teaching, of course, that's gone around over the years, but this makes it kind of look like it's a person, doesn't it? The son of perdition. It looks like it's a person. And of course, we can discuss this and talk about it all we want to. We'll never come to a conclusion because it's been discussed forever. But every time we have some kind of turmoil in the world, a little war flares up or whatever. Saddam Hussein, the last one that I can think of right off the bat. They turn out to be the son of perdition in a lot of people's mind, I guess. But as far as this verse right here, he will oppose and will exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sets him up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. The office of the Pope comes closer to that than anything that I can think of as far as checking off all the boxes that it talks about here. False teaching. That's all included. That's all inclusive in this particular situation.
It's like the big cult leaders, think of like Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Which was a relatively small group.
Right. hard to imagine Paul was talking about Jim Jones, but it could have been. Maybe it hasn't happened yet. So that you're getting ahead of me, Rhonda. That's okay. That's okay. Maybe it hasn't happened yet. Maybe that's the reason why the second coming hasn't happened yet. Maybe there's something that's yet coming, yet forthcoming, that will check off all of these boxes. And the second coming won't happen until that happens. Maybe it's not anything that we're thinking about. So you can make the argument the second coming hasn't happened yet, so therefore, whatever Paul's talking about hasn't happened yet. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, our normal lifespan may be such that as oppressive as some of these people we've talked about were in locales and at certain times, like I said, there's not one that the way it seems like it talks about is that it would be almost worldwide, not for one civilization or one part of the globe.
Yeah.
And there's not one yet
Right.
come along, and when that one does, then
Yeah.
it sets the machinery in motion.
Yeah, the Catholic religion comes closer to checking all the boxes to this point in time than I can think of anyway. And that's not, that's not necessarily a condemnation of them per se, me standing up here doing that. That's not the whole purpose. I'm just saying they fill more of the boxes.
It's hard to exert influence. Seems like I read somewhere, in the year might have been 1921, which doesn't seem that, yes it is, but no, but at that time and point in history, the British Empire controlled 25% of the land mass and approximately 25% of the world's population was under, if you will, control or the influence of the crown in a little island called England.
Right. Religiously, the Church of England, I don't know what they taught, but a lot of things you can think of fill some of the things that Paul's talking about here, but maybe not all of them.
The political turmoil today may be part of it.
Well, that's true too. They've been fighting over the Gaza Strip for a long time, haven't they? And they're still they haven't gained a thing as far as settling anything. It doesn't seem like over however many thousand years they've been fighting over it. But well, I don't know what else to say about it. The Catholic Church is strong. They own a lot of things. They own everything. They're a city to themselves inside Rome. Vatican City is I forgot how many acres it is, but right in the middle of Rome, and they're self-governed. They don't come under the governorship of the city of Rome or the state of Italy or whatever, but they are on their own.
And in the United States, they own hospitals, schools, nursing homes, parking garages, real estate, apartments, farms. They own
Liquor stores,
thousands of pieces of property.
liquor stores.
Yeah.
They own everything. They really do. You'd be shocked, probably all of us would be, if we knew exactly what all they did own just in the United States. But it's worldwide with them. It's an unbelievable, whatever on what the word would be, what goes on there. But it's an interesting place. We've had the privilege to be there a couple of times. It's amazing that all the people that were there just because of, to worship, I guess, that's the reason they're there, because of their religion. Of course, we were there as tourists, but it was kind of eye-opening to see all of the people that were flocking there. And all of you have seen the pictures of the big open area there with all the chairs whenever the Pope speaks and all that. It's just it's an interesting place to see. And St. Peter's Basilica and all of that, the Sistine Chapel, and all of the paintings that Michelangelo and others did, and it's overwhelming. It really is. Paul is writing this to these people for the specific purpose, telling them it's not going to be today. It's not going to be tomorrow, probably. It was the purpose that he was trying to get them to do, to put it all back in context here. So, here we are 2,000 years later speculating about exactly the same thing. So you might conclude that whatever he's talking about hasn't happened yet. It may not be anything that we're even talking about at all. It could be something that no one has foreseen even to this point in time. And then when that happens and all of that's revealed, the son of perdition is revealed, then the second coming. Comments?
They've had influence. The members are groups of Catholic faith settled in Mexico and California. There were people in California. They had compounds, and in the Southwest before the English ever settled Jamestown. In fact, the Alamo was originally a church and a Catholic compound. The wall, they would build a wall, and then inside it there would be apartments, and then they would convert the local people, the indigenous people, Indians, if you will, and they would live there, and they cultivate and worship and have influence. It's just unbelievable how far-reaching and how far back that goes.
Yeah. I don't know whether any of you, I'm sure some of you are watching this 1923 series thing that's Taylor Sheridan movie like Yellowstone and all that, but I'm not, they portray, the Catholic Church and the nuns and the priests, they run this school for Indians, and it's just unbelievable how cruel they are, how mean they are. I don't know whether it's true or not, but it sure puts a bad taste in your mouth against them when you watch it. But
It happens to be true, and you can go back even another maybe 100, 150 years to what was known as the Spanish Inquisition. And the Spaniards, there was a group, an arm of the Catholic Church that if they believed you were a heretic or didn't believe in God the way that they took your property, they took your life, they burnt you at the stake. It's unbelievable how far to the right that they went in their beliefs, and it's a very dark chapter, and it's not mentioned much in history. You have to kind of go looking for it to find it. But the Spanish Inquisition was it just about ruined the country, but mankind survived that too and moved on.
yeah, Dan knows a lot about history that I don't know. I was taking algebra and geometry while he was doing history, so I wasn't interested for some reason or other, but now I wish I were. But anyway, I appreciate that. What else do you want to say? Don't you remember that when I was with you, I used to tell you these things, he says in verse 5. Well, what things is he talking about? I guess what he's told us in verses 3 and 4. And now you know what is holding him back, so that he may be revealed at the proper time. I don't know that I know, but this has to happen before the second coming of Christ. That's the reason that's what's holding him back from coming, I suppose is what he's saying. And probably, possibly, same thing today. He could be telling us the same thing. For the secret power of lawlessness is already at work, but the one who now holds it back will continue to do so till he is taken out of the way. The holding back part is not Christ coming back, but the one who is going to be revealed that is keeping Christ from coming back. I don't understand it. I mean, it's just not something that you can read commentaries all you want, and everybody's got a different opinion about who or what it is. But we do know, verse 8 says, and then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord Jesus will overthrow with the breath of his mouth and destroy by the splendor of his coming.
Well, you're not supposed to know, because if you go back to the other, it's secret.
Yeah,
So we're not, I guess we're not supposed to know.
I guess we're
because
not.
it's
I mean, it's like Revelation. I mean, why write me something in a context that I can't understand? I mean, it's not going to do me any good. I don't know. When it happens, it'll happen, and we'll know about it, obviously.
That's where faith comes in.
Right, that's where faith comes in. But I think we can almost assuredly say that it hasn't happened yet. You know, the Catholic Church checks off a lot of the things here, but maybe not all of them. Maybe it's going to be something completely different. Maybe it'll be another 2,000, 10,000. Doesn't make any difference with God. Time doesn't make any difference. But the lawless one will be revealed, and he will be overpowered. He may proclaim himself to be God on earth, but he will be so overpowered by the splendor of the second coming that won't be any contest. It won't be any comparison. The coming of the lawless one will be in accordance with how Satan works. He will use all sorts of displays of power through signs and wonders that serve the lie, and all the ways that wickedness deceives those who are perishing. They perish because they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion so that they will believe the lie, and so that all will be condemned who have not believed the truth but have delighted in wickedness. So it's all tied to religion or false religion, it seems. This one person or this one, I don't know. When you you'd have to go back and read this about a dozen times back and forth, and you come up with different things, different ideas. And again, the Catholic Church fits more of the boxes than anything we can think of to this point in time. I'm sure they wouldn't agree with that, obviously, but what they teach is so foreign to us. It's just not. To us, to me at least, it fits a lot of these things that Paul's saying here. But if that's the case, they've been around a long time, but the second coming hasn't happened yet. So I'm inclined to believe that there's something yet to come before that can happen. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it today anyway. Anyone else want to say anything?
Verse 2 before that, though, he talked about there'll be a falling away.
Yeah, be a falling away. Well, there's been
We've seen that all of our life.
there's been a falling away for the last
Yeah.
1500 years.
Some of them big time, too.
That is true.
People who claim that they know when the last day's coming, it's coming soon, it's gonna come here, it's gonna
Yeah.
come here. We know that's not true, because whatever they say, you know it's not true, because he's coming like a thief in the night. And
Yeah.
even
Somebody,
Christ didn't know.
yeah, somebody predicts a day, a time, a day, and they've done that in the past. We've all been through that sometimes a little bit, but if they predict that day, you can be sure to what? One thing. It won't happen then. If everybody's looking that day, it won't happen that day.
Doesn't it say somewhere that Jesus doesn't know?
I think it says God himself only knows, right?
Yeah, Jesus doesn't.
Yeah, he chooses not to know, I guess.
Somewhere.
Well, but people, they'll read that and then they'll still say they're smarter than God. We've got this all figured out. That they go to Revelation and the prophecies and all that and put it all together and figure out exactly a date and even the hour sometimes in the past they predict it. And that's true. If they're going to predict it, it's not going to happen for that particular time for sure.
Verse 11 is a pretty scary verse, isn't it?
Yep, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, or a week or so ago, but God is not going to, if you fall away, God's not going to hit you over the head and drag you back. If you choose to believe something that's completely wrong, you know better, then God's going to let you believe it if you want to. It's up to you. We're not predestined. We're not predestined. We make our own choices. We make our own forks in the road decisions, and if we do the wrong one, God's not going to physically bring you back. The opportunity's there to come back, but there's not going to be someone reach down and grab you and bring you back physically. That's just not the way it happens. But children, as they grow up, if they're taught the right things and they stray, fall away, there's a good chance that once they are mature and get all the things out of their life that's they felt like they had to do when they're younger, their background will bring a majority of them back. Train up a child in the way he shall go, and what? When he's old, he'll not depart from it. So that's what brings you back. God's not going to bring you back. If you choose to believe a lie, and you're fighting this choice, and you conclude that I want to go this way, then God's going to let you go that way. And the more you believe it, the stronger it'll be, because he allows it to happen that way. Excuse me.
It's going to be real hard to do because, as you just said, and the verse says, a powerful delusion. And there are things that people believe in their mind. They want to believe it. If it feeds to, I want to believe this, even knowing the truth, they will believe that. They do not believe the truth, but they are delighted. They want to believe the lie, so they are delighted in wickedness.
Oftentimes it's a lot more fun, isn't it?
Well, it's a lot easier, and it fits what I thought in the first place.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about the Catholic religion. Why are they so strong? But when you go back and look at what they teach, you basically do anything you want to. Go get forgiveness for it, and just like what's the Mardi Gras in New Orleans and all that stuff. Just concluded this week. If you think about that as part of your religion, all this fun stuff, so to speak, you can see why it's attractive to so many people. Why would you want to adhere to the straight and narrow whenever you can believe that this is just as good over here? So if you believe that, God will let you believe that.
And they start at a very, very early age, their school system. And I've read or heard somewhere years ago, give us a child to age 6 and we'll have him for life.
I've
He
heard
may
that.
not be in the pew, but we'll have him.
I've heard that. That's for sure. Is that about it, Junior? Time-wise? About a minute? Well, that's about it then. We didn't get very far, but that's okay. Go back and read those verses 2 or 3 times. Get in one of the modern translations and read them. It won't take you 5 minutes. And if you don't have a modern translation, you can go and just get on the internet and type in Bible Gateway, and 4,000 different translations you can pop up. Chinese, Japanese, anything you want, it's there. So I like to put 2 side by side, like when I'm doing this. One English, the Message paraphrase, I guess is probably what it is, and then either the New King James or whatever, and have them side by side, and you can get a pretty good feel for verses sometimes that are hard to understand. So anyway, I challenge you to go back and read these first 12 verses and just see what you can come up with. But anybody got anything else you want to say? Doug, I believe you've got away scot-free today so far, so we'll let you do the closing prayer.